There is a doubt that accompanies many men, especially when they cross the age of 60 or 65. It is a silent question, difficult to put into words, and sometimes causes so much embarrassment that they don't even confess it to their trusted doctor. And that question is simple, but profound. Does what I do in my intimacy affect my health? Is masturbating or having sex frequently beneficial, or on the contrary, harmful? And the most disturbing part is, could all this be related to prostate cancer? Today we will confront this topic without fears, without taboos, as if you were with me, sitting in my office. Because what you choose to do in the solitude of your room, in that intimate space, so yours, could determine not only how many years you will live, but also the quality with which you will spend those years. Today, I will show you what science truly says about ejaculation and your prostate health, that tiny gland, about the size of a walnut, but enormous in importance. Stay with me, because the truth may surprise you. To understand this topic clearly, we must first get to know the protagonist, the prostate. Imagine it as a small factory located just below the bladder. Its essential mission is to produce a key part of semen, the prostate fluid. And no, it is not a simple addition. It is a true cocktail loaded with nutrients, including zinc, citric acid, and enzymes that are tasked with protecting and transporting sperm. But the prostate does not act alone. Semen is the result of teamwork. The seminal vesicles contribute the largest volume, with a sweet fluid full of sugars to provide energy. The testes, although they only account for 1% of the volume, provide the most important component, the sperm. All of this is mixed together, forming semen. Now, how does it manage to exit? Ejaculation is a fascinating process that occurs in two stages. First, the emission phase, in which all those liquids gather in the urethra, waiting like actors behind the curtain. Then, with proper stimulation, comes the second act, the expulsion. The pelvic floor muscles contract forcefully, and semen is expelled outward. This perfect mechanism depends on impeccable coordination between nerves and muscles. That is why conditions such as diabetes or, as we will see later, some prostate surgeries can interfere with this process. A question many men ask me in consultation is, "Doctor, is it harmful to hold back? Is keeping semen inside the body harmful?" The clear answer is that there is no scientific evidence that not ejaculating causes a serious disease by itself. However, that does not mean there are no consequences. Imagine a river that stops flowing. The water accumulates and stagnates. Something similar happens in the prostate. In men with chronic prostatitis, this persistent and sometimes painful inflammation of the gland, a low frequency of ejaculation can intensify pelvic congestion. In fact, as early as 1999, a study showed that increasing the frequency of ejaculation, whether through intercourse or masturbation, helped many men reduce the symptoms of this condition. It's as if, by ejaculating, the ducts are cleaned, reducing pressure and decreasing inflammation. And there's one more thing, a hidden benefit that many don't even consider: sleep quality. Because ejaculation not only brings pleasure, but also releases a powerful cocktail of hormones, such as prolactin and oxytocin, which induce deep calm, relaxation that opens the door to rest and restorative sleep. In fact, very recent research published in 2023 in the journal Sleep Disorders demonstrated that sexual activity, especially when culminating in orgasm, significantly improved not only the ease of falling asleep, but also the very quality of sleep. So beyond immediate pleasure, an active sex life can become the most powerful natural sleep aid you have. But now let's get to the point I know many are waiting for, the one that raises so many doubts and fears. Does ejaculating little increase the risk of prostate cancer? In other words, does ejaculating more protect you? Science has been pursuing the answer for decades, and the results are nothing short of remarkable. Let me take a sip of water first, and in the meantime, I ask for a small favor, a gesture that helps me tremendously. If you find this information valuable, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It costs you nothing, and it means a great deal to me in supporting the creation of health content that can change lives. I sincerely thank you. Let's continue. The largest and most significant study on this topic was conducted by Harvard University. Over 18 years, They followed nearly 32,000 men. And what did they discover? Something that surprised everyone. Men who reported ejaculating 21 times or more per month had up to a 33% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who ejaculated between 4 and 7 times a month. And most revealing, the study concluded that it didn't matter how the ejaculation was achieved. It didn't matter if it was with a partner or through masturbation. The protective effect seemed to depend solely on the physical act of ejaculation, not on sexual interaction itself. And it didn't stop there. Other studies have replicated this conclusion. A study in 2017 and a large meta-analysis in 2018 confirmed this inverse association. The higher the frequency, the lower the risk. Now, as a scientist, I must be honest. These studies are observational, based on what men remember and report, which opens the door to errors. But the strength and consistency of the results are such that we are compelled to ask ourselves, why does this happen? What is the secret mechanism that could explain this protection? There is no single answer, but the scientific community has proposed several truly fascinating hypotheses. The first, and also the most logical, is the washing hypothesis. Imagine the prostate as a sponge filled with tiny ducts. Over time, harmful substances, environmental carcinogens, or even tobacco can accumulate in the prostatic fluid. Each ejaculation acts as a cleansing, like a rinse that expels toxins before they can damage the cells. If ejaculation is infrequent, these substances remain in contact with prostate tissue for too long, increasing the likelihood of mutations and, consequently, the risk of tumor development. The second hypothesis is related to the world of hormones. Frequent ejaculation could help maintain a more stable hormonal balance within the prostate, naturally regulating levels of testosterone and other androgens, which in turn would limit uncontrolled cell growth. A third hypothesis, which I find fascinating, is that sexual activity functions similarly to physical exercise. It stimulates the immune system, our internal army, always alert, not only against viruses, but also against potentially cancerous cells. A strong, dynamic immune system has a greater ability to identify and destroy abnormal cells before they become a real threat. Finally, it is believed that muscle contractions during orgasm improve blood circulation, reduce local inflammation, and decrease oxidative stress, the silent enemy that accelerates aging and contributes to cancer development. After hearing all this, the inevitable question many ask me is, Doctor, then, how many times should I ejaculate per month? And I want to be very clear here. Although the study mentions the figure of 21 times, that number is not a medical prescription. It is not a rigid goal you must adhere to. Sexual health is not a competition. The appropriate frequency for each man is unique and depends on countless factors. Your age, your overall health, whether you share your life with a partner or not, your stress levels, your emotional state. The list could be endless. Forcing yourself to reach a specific number can only cause anxiety and increase pressure, which ultimately harms your well-being. What these studies actually suggest is not an obligation, but a core idea. Maintaining an active sex life with a regular ejaculation frequency seems to be part of a healthy lifestyle that protects the prostate. The key is to listen to your own body and discover your own rhythm, without guilt or external demands. And now I would like to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? Do you believe there is a normal number, or do you think it's entirely personal? Leave your opinion in the comments. I'm very interested in hearing different perspectives. And while you're at it, remember to also drink a glass of water, because hydration is another essential piece of health. Now, let's move on to a crucial topic that concerns many men. What happens to ejaculation if one undergoes prostate surgery? Here, it's essential to distinguish between the two main types of intervention because their consequences are completely different. Let's start with surgery for benign enlargement, known as benign prostatic hyperplasia. This is the most common operation. Over the years, the prostate can grow and compress the urethra, making urination difficult. Surgery aims to free the duct by removing the internal tissue that obstructs it while preserving the external capsule of the gland intact. The most common consequence of this procedure is retrograde ejaculation. What does this mean? It means that during orgasm, instead of semen exiting the body, it is directed toward the bladder. This happens because the small valve, the internal sphincter, which normally closes to prevent this backward flow, is altered during the operation. It is vital that you understand one thing. You will still have orgasms, the sensation of pleasure will be the same, and an erection should not be affected. The only thing you will notice is that you will not see semen exit. That semen will later be harmlessly expelled through urination. As a doctor, I feel it is my obligation to explain this always before surgery, to prevent the patient from becoming frightened or frustrated after the operation. The second scenario is completely different and occurs in prostate cancer surgery, known as radical prostatectomy. Here, the goal is to eradicate the cancer, and to achieve this, the prostate is completely removed, along with the seminal vesicles. When these organs are removed, semen production ceases forever. Therefore, after the surgery, there will be no ejaculation. The man can still experience orgasm, which is called a dry orgasm, but there will no longer be any fluid expulsion. Additionally, this procedure is much more complex and carries two main risks: urinary incontinence and erectile dysfunction. This occurs because the nerves responsible for erection run very close to the prostate and can be damaged in the process. Fortunately, thanks to modern advances such as robotic surgery, in many cases we are able to preserve these nerves, thereby significantly improving the outcomes. After everything we have shared, I want you to hold on to a clear, powerful, and deeply important idea. There is no magic formula to prevent prostate cancer. There are no miracle diets, secret supplements, or an exact number of ejaculations that can prevent it. The most powerful tool you have in your hands is medical prevention through regular checkups. Getting your annual exams with the urologist, measuring your prostate antigen PSA, and undergoing a rectal exam when your doctor recommends it are the steps that can truly save your life, because they allow for the early detection of any abnormalities when it is still possible to act. That said, maintaining a regular ejaculation frequency seems to be beneficial, but consider it just one piece of a huge puzzle. And what are the other pieces that have been scientifically proven? Not smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, eating a balanced diet with more vegetables and fewer processed products, and most importantly, staying active. Because a sedentary lifestyle is one of the biggest enemies, not only of your prostate, but also of your overall health. You should beware of internet charlatans who sell false cures and miraculous promises. Health is something serious and deserves your full attention. If you want to learn more about how to start your checkups or what the PSA results truly mean, I invite you to watch another video on my channel, where I explain in detail everything you need to understand about prostate cancer. I sincerely thank you for accompanying me this far, for your time, and for your trust. If this video has helped you, clarified your doubts, the best way to support me is by liking it, sharing it with a friend or family member, and subscribing to the channel. Your support allows me to continue creating honest, rigorous health content based on science, so it can reach more people. Take control of your health. And until next time,